Let's talk about the procedure type objects that can be defined in a Genexus knowledge base. This type of object allows defining processes to access and navigate tables in the database with various objectives. For example, we may need to navigate the records of a certain table that comply with certain conditions, and for these records, update a certain attribute with a given value. Or, navigate a table and print all its data in a PDF list ordered by some criterion. Also, define specific processes that contain searches, calculations, and database updates, and print that information. First, let's start by defining a procedure to list all the tourist attractions offered by the travel agency in alphabetical order. To do so, we create a new object. This time, it's a procedure that we call attraction list. Once the object has been created, we see that Genexus takes us to a section called source. Here is where we'll type commands and orders that enable the procedure to meet its objective, which in this case is to print a list of tourist attractions. Now let's look at this other section called layout. The layout is the place where the output is designed, which is to say, where we set how we want to view our data. It is made of print blocks. And inside the print blocks, we will include what we want to show. We may want to show titles, lines, rectangles, images, and attribute or variable values. To do so, we will drag them to the print block. Note that a print block is automatically included in the layout. With this print block, we can display a title or today's date, or we can add more print blocks in this section. Now, let's think about how we want our list to look like so we can define it. It may be something like this, with an image, a title, columns, and all the tourist attractions in alphabetical order. Note that we will want to show two fixed contents, such as the list title with an image, and the column titles with a line below them. Next, we add the attraction details that we want to show, which will change line by line because we want to show the data stored in our database. We may define three print blocks. One with the list title and its image, another one to show the column titles with the line below them, and a third print block where we will display the tourist attraction details. So let's start to define this. We can use the print block that was created when we created the procedure object for the title and image. Let's start by the title. To do so, from the toolbox, we drag the text block control, we edit its properties, and in the text property, we type attractions list. We also change its color and font, and then select its position in relation to the margins. We will give this print block a clear name that represents what is being displayed. To do so, we select the print block properties and edit its name property by assigning it the name title. Now let's insert the image with the plane on the left by dragging the image control from the toolbox and dropping it where we want it to be placed. Note that a window is open for us to select one of the images existing in the knowledge base, or to add a new one, for example, by importing it from a file. This button allows us to explore our file system and select the image, which will be created as a Genexus object of image type with the image file name as a default name. From then on, we will be able to freely use the image in our KB. Note that here we can access all the images in the KB, among which is the image of the plane. Now we will create another print block to include the column titles with a line below them. If we right-click on a certain print block and select the Insert Print Block option, a new print block will be inserted below it. The way in which print blocks are ordered in the layout is not important because it doesn't mean that they must be printed in that order. We determine when to print each print block in the code that we type in the procedure source. We will see that soon. In the meantime, to this new print block, we will give it the name column titles. And in this new print block, we will insert a text block for every text that we want to show as column title. To do so, from the toolbox, we drag the text block. In its text property, we type ID. We add another text block, and in its text property, we enter the text name. And we create another text block to show the text country. Lastly, we create a text block for the title photo. We place the controls in the positions we want. They can be aligned by selecting them all at once, and then selecting this option. Lastly, we will insert a line below these column titles. So, we return to the toolbox and drag a line control. We drag it from here and give it the length we want. If in the source we type the orders to print the first print block followed by the second, these blank spaces here will be kept. We will reduce those of the second print block. We still have to add the third print block that we had mentioned to show the tourist attraction details. So, we insert a new print block and we call it Attractions. Since the data is stored in attributes, we return to the toolbox. We select a control of attribute variable type and we drag it below the ID title. In this window that is opened, we choose a variable or attribute to show in the control. We see that in addition to today, a procedure has these other system variables. We want to have the attraction ID attribute displayed, so we filter by A through T to find it quickly. We align it to the right of the ID title. The last control selected is used as a reference. Here it is highlighted. We can also insert attributes in the print block from the Insert Attribute option. Only attributes, not variables, are offered here. In this window, we can select several attributes at once. So we select Attraction Name, we click on Control, and Attraction Photo. We click on OK. And we place the attributes below the titles. Also, we insert country name in the same way. We align the attributes, and then we remove the blank spaces from the print block. We will put the column titles in bold to make them stand out. We select them all at once, and in the properties, we'll see how to apply this change to the font at the same time. Now, we've forgotten one thing. The attraction's photo cannot be displayed in the small space that we've left for the attraction photo control attribute. We will have to enlarge it a bit. The design of how the data will be displayed in the list is ready. Now, we have to type the necessary code to obtain the right information from the database and have print blocks printed in the order we want. Let's go to the source option. The first thing we want to print is the report title. So we type print title. Since the instructions we type in the source will be executed downwards, this instruction will be the first one to be executed. With it, we're sending the contents of the print block called title, which is the list title, to print. The print command must always be followed by the name of a print block defined in layout. Next, we want to print the column titles, so we have to give the order to print the column titles print block. So we type print column titles. With these two instructions, we have given the order to print the fixed part of the report. That is to say, the part that will not change with the data. the part containing the report title and the plain image, and the part containing the column titles. Now we have to print the attractions data that is stored in the database. To do so, we must access the physical table that has this information stored. That is to say, the table associated with the attraction transaction. The command that allows us to access a physical table is the forEach command. The physical table that is accessed is called base table of the forEach command. So we type the forEach command, and next to it, attraction. Why do we type attraction next to the forEach command? Because it's the name of the attraction whose associated physical table we want to navigate. Now, since we want to print, for every tourist attraction, the content of the attributes attraction ID, attraction name, country name, and attraction photo, we type the order to print the attractions print block that contains them. We type print attractions. Next, we close the forEach command with the end4 instruction. And that's it. In this way, we've told Genexus to navigate the attraction physical table, which corresponds to the attraction transaction. Since within the forEach command we've invoked a print block containing attributes of the attraction and country tables, applying the concept of extended table for each navigated attraction, the country city table will be accessed, and from it the country table, to obtain the name of the country where this attraction is located. Let's run it to see the result. First, we need to set some necessary properties to print the list in PDF format. We open the report's properties and set the main program to true. Next, in the call protocol property, we select HTTP. Lastly, we have to insert the output file rule in the rules section. Because, as we can see, an object of this type also allows defining some rules, even if fewer than in a transaction. So we select Insert Rule. We complete it by entering the file name of the attractions list PDF, followed by the format that will be used, PDF. We save, and now we can run it. And we can see that the list has been created, with the format selected, and all the tourist attractions that we had entered are included in the list, each one with the name of the country they belong to and a photo. Let's go back to Genexus. Here we say that attraction is the base transaction. And as we've said before, it corresponds to the name of the transaction whose associated physical table we want to navigate. In this case, it's the attraction table with the same name as the transaction. What if the transaction had more than one level, such as flight, for example, and we wanted to navigate the physical table associated with the second level of the transaction? That is to say, the flight seats. In this case, the syntax would be as follows. The transaction name, period, and right after the period, the name of the level. Now, the physical table that will be navigated by the forEach command, as well as other decisions made by Genexus, are displayed in the procedure's navigation list. This list is automatically created when the procedure to be run is generated. In this case, it was after pressing F5. In it, Genexus shows how it accesses the information in the database. Let's take a look at it. We can see that next to forEach, it also says attraction, to indicate that it's the forEach command base table. Remember that the forEach command runs through a physical table. That's why the attraction name displayed in the navigation list is that of the attraction physical table, not the name of the base transaction that we've written in the procedure. Genexus infers this table because it's associated with the base transaction we've indicated. It also indicates that to order the list of attractions, the attraction ID attribute was used, which is the primary key of the attraction table. It also indicates that it has run through all the records in the table, because it started by the first record and iterated until reaching the end of the table. That is to say, all the attractions were displayed. Lastly, it indicates that the table navigated was attraction. And it also had to access country to retrieve information because in our list we showed the country name. Now let's go back to the procedure source. Something else that we haven't solved is to list attractions in alphabetical order, that is to say, by attraction name. We can do this simply by typing after the for each attraction the clause order attraction name. Now let's run the procedure to see it. We see that now tourist attractions are listed in alphabetical order by name. In the navigation list, we see how it was indicated. For now, we don't pay attention to the warning displayed in the list. Let's take a look at something interesting. Genexus allows us to order by an attribute value that is not included in the attraction table, but in its extended table. We replace the order attribute with country name. This attribute is not physically present in the for each command base table. Instead, it's located in the extended table of the navigated base table. Therefore, we can't order by it. We run the procedure to see the result. As we can see, the attractions are ordered alphabetically by country name. Just like we've added the order optional clause to the for each command, the syntax of the for each command allows us to add other optional clauses and definitions, as we will see later on. For example, what would happen if the travel agency asked us to list only the tourist attractions of France? To the for each command, we would add only a clause called where to have it filter and show only the data that meets the desired condition. So we click on the line after the for each command, and we type where country ID equals 2, because we know that France's ID is 2. We press F5. Instead of filtering by country identifier, we could have written where country name equals France. We save and run the report again. And we can see the result is exactly the same. If we check the navigation list again, we can see that the attractions table is no longer run through entirely. Since we're ordering by country name to keep the countries called France, it only has to run through part of the table and not all of it. It is similar to when we look for the word France in the dictionary. We don't look in the entire dictionary. Instead, we go straight to the letter F. Lastly, we update the changes in the Genexus server. Before reviewing everything we've seen, remember that the Genexus IDE is contextual, which means that the properties viewed from the toolbox depend on the object and the place where we're positioned. If we select the source of a procedure, the toolbox shows snippets, which are pieces of code that offer the general syntax of the different clauses and structures that can be used in the source of a procedure. Among them, there are commands to control the PDF file design, such as the header, that allows you to define a header that will be repeated on each new page of the list, unlike the title we've added that is only shown on the first page. We recommend exploring all the options for designing a list in the Genexus wiki. Now let's review the concepts we've learned. The for each command is used to run through each record of a table and perform an action with its related data. To do so, we indicate the name of the transaction level whose associated table we want to run through. This level indication is called base transaction of the for each command. From that level, Genexus will infer the table to run through, which is called base table of the for each command. The set of attributes between for each and n4 must belong to the extended table of the base table to run through. Here's a summary of what we've seen so far about the for each command. With the order clause, we can indicate the criterion used to order the information returned by the for each command. The order can depend on the attributes in the base table of the for each command or its extended table. As we can see, we can order by a single attribute or by several attributes. For example, if the tourist attraction category was also shown in the list, and we wanted to order it by country name, and within the attractions of the same country by category name, we would type both attributes in this order. First, country name, and then category name. Here, country name and category name are not included in the base table, attraction. Instead, they're included in tables of the extended table. To filter the information returned by the forEach command, the where clause is used. In it, we indicate the condition that the records must meet in order to be selected. The condition can be complex and include several conditions joined by and or. That is to say, for example, condition 1 and condition 2, which means that both conditions must be met at the same time. Condition 1 or condition 2, which means that if one of them is met, it's enough for the record being evaluated to pass the filter. We can also add several where clauses, which is the same as writing only one, with its conditions joined by and. Within the forEach command, in its main code, we type the commands that we want to run in sequence to perform, step by step, what we need in the record of the base table in which it's positioned in each moment, and those associated by extended table. For example, print a print block. Therefore, this is how the forEach command structure looks so far. The command accepts more clauses and options. Some of them will be explained in other videos, and others will be addressed in other courses.